I'm Dr. Ellie Zarabian. I'm Iranian American, and I've been living in the US for more than 30 years. I help people turn conflict around in their life to develop more confidence, self-determination, and success through the process of resolving conflict. I work with people from all over the world, primarily women in their 30s, who want to make a big shift in their personal and professional life. Let me tell you where I am today, because it's a good contrast to where I was. Talking about professional success, I have been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years.
Right.
And I started out with nothing. I had no business background. I had no capital. All I had was my degree in psychology.
Yeah.
And because of my ability to build relationships and to be successful interpersonally, I was able to develop myself as an entrepreneur. I say that because a lot of people who initially start out think, well, I don't have her skills, I don't have her background, or I don't have this and that. And they immediately say, well, I can't do it.
Right.
And I'm here to say that you can, because if you develop certain skills internally, that those skills will help you not only in your personal life, but in your professional life. The skills that I want to talk to you about today, Nirupama, are relational skills.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And there are 3 key relational skills that help people progress and be successful in their personal and professional life.
Right. Yes.
The first one that I'd like to talk about is self-awareness.
Okay.
Self-awareness is the ability to understand what's going on with you internally in terms of your thoughts, your values, what motivates you, and how you measure success.
Right.
That's part of self-awareness.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people lack self-awareness. A big part of this process when you first start out is actually learning the skills to self-reflect.
Yes.
Who am I? What do I want in life? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? What are my values in life?
Yes.
What motivates me? And how do I measure success?
Right.
Because it's different for everyone.
Absolutely.
We can't assume that everyone is motivated by the same thing.
Yes.
So when you learn this first step about yourself, when you develop self-awareness, when you understand how your inner workings work, then you are able to generalize that and then be able to connect with other people, especially if you're working with clients or a boss and you're trying to excel. You can then address these areas, not only in yourself, but in the people you're dealing with.
I understand.
Right. Therefore, you will understand what is it that this person, what motivates this person? What is this person's values? What is their definition of success? The second one is developing good listening skills, right? So what happens is most people I hear you, you hear me, but most people don't really listen.
Right.
Okay. So what that means is that when we are usually talking with each other, most people are already in their own head thinking about, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? What should I say next? Or we go to a place of judgment, right? What we do is start judging the person or judging ourselves. Well, I don't like what this person is saying. Wow, this person doesn't make any sense. Or, oh my God, I feel so insecure right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. So we start mind chatter.
Yes.
Judging. The third thing that we do is we go into ego, right? I know better. Or, oh, this person knows better. I don't know nothing. So we go into ego. These 3 things get in the way of really being able to hear and listen to what the person in front of you is saying. And this is key in both personal relationships and professional relationships.
Absolutely.
So learning how to listen 100% is an active skill. It's not passive. Listening is not a passive skill.
Right.
So learn to cultivate, to calm your mind, to slow down your thinking, to suspend judging, and to remain neutral and not go into your ego. Conflict is a normal and natural part of life.
Right.
Okay? Where there's diversity, there's conflict.
Right.
Okay, it's just a given. No two people have the same genes, have the
Right.
same upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
have the same communication style. So it's a given that
Right.
when you and I are going to interact
Mm-hmm.
in a close setting, whether at work or at home, we're going
Right.
to have conflict.
Right.
So the first thing is to realize that conflict is not bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
not bad to have conflict. It's just a
Right.
natural part of life.
Right.
The second thing is that most of us are born and raised in homes and environments that don't know how to manage or deal with conflict.
Yes.
With the exception of a few people who are good at managing conflict, most of us have to be schooled
Yes.
in learning how to deal with conflict.
Right.
Okay? So what does that mean? It means that part of conflict resolution and conflict management goes back to self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have self-awareness and you know what your needs are, what your
Right.
wants are, what's
Right.
the difference between those two, what
Right.
your boundaries are, what your values are,
Mm-hmm.
when you're clear about that, then you learn how to communicate those effectively and efficiently.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you learn how to communicate effectively and efficiently, you learn the process of managing conflict along the way.
Right.
Okay, so you don't run away from it, you don't deflect it, you don't gaslight the person, you don't abuse the situation, you don't have power over, none of that.
Yes.
You realize that there is a path to getting a solution,
Yes.
and you're going to work towards it with the other person with the skill set that you have to progress the relationship forward. So in a lot of relationships, both at home and at work, people are not clear about their boundaries,
Yes.
which is essentially what's okay and what's not okay.
Right.
Okay. And unfortunately, often we're taught to dismiss our boundaries.
Right.
If you feel disrespected, if you feel talked over, or if you feel uncomfortable, we don't learn how to express, how to communicate what's okay and what's not okay for us. So it creates conflict within us.
Right.
When it creates conflict within us and we don't know what's going on, we don't know what our boundaries are, we don't know what our values are, then it creates a problem in terms of managing and handling what's going on. And then it comes out in relationship with others. So the analogy to what you're saying is, you're saying to me, Nirupama, I have this beautiful plant that it was given to me as a gift, and I really love it. It blooms and it has these beautiful flowers and it has a wonderful scent. There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm too busy to water it, and I'm too busy to take it out and put it in the sun.
Right.
So I just have to leave it in my room all the time.
Right.
How can I keep it alive, Dr. Ellie? How can I keep it as beautiful and blooming as before if I don't have time to water it and take care of it?
Right.
You see, that's the analogy based on what you're saying. Relationships are like this beautiful flower, this beautiful plant. You have to nurture it, you have to water it, you have to watch it, you have to take care of it, you have to put it in the sun, and you have to be connected to it, you have to be present to it. If you ignore it and you don't pay attention to it, it's going to wilt and eventually die. It's the same thing with relationships. And if you don't have time, then you have to accept the consequences that those relationships are going to suffer. There's no and or if or but or maybe or anything. Learning to manage your thoughts is a practice. It's not something that it's a switch. It's not a switch. Oh, I'm just going to stop thinking negative thoughts. It doesn't happen that way. It's like exercise where you have to develop the muscles.
Right.
Okay. And the most effective way that we know of managing negative thoughts is through meditation.
Yes.
Right. Meditation, and you probably would know more about this than I do, is a process of learning to quiet the mind.
Right.
So that we can become more fully present and engaged in the here and now.
Right.
It's a practice that we develop.
Yes.
And if those of you are interested in learning more about this practice, I actually have a 5-week meditation course that I'll be teaching at the end of June. And it's about this. It's about learning to cultivate a practice where you quiet the mind and you learn to become more focused and you develop greater concentration on the tasks that are in front of you. Okay? Because again, we are born and raised in a culture where we are being bombarded with information and thoughts
Right.
constantly, right?
Absolutely.
I think the average person has like 120 different thoughts
All the
per
time.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just constant. We can't stop it.
Right.
So through developing a mindfulness practice, which is not that complicated, maybe just a few minutes a day,
Right.
you learn to cultivate stillness so
Right.
that you can slow down and even eventually stop the mind chatter.
Right.
What happens is we often recreate the family life that we've grown up with, we live with. We
Right.
recreate that at work.
Right.
We know that. We have the research now to show that.
Right.
So if you have a certain family dynamics where there's a certain level of dysfunction going on with the way people are communicating, with the way people are treating each other, chances are you're going to replicate that exactly at work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So meaning if you don't do anything about it, by
Right.
default, you're going to end up with what you grew up with. So if you have an unhappy, unhealthy family life,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're going to create an unhealthy, unhappy work life. Once you work on yourself and you develop better relationships at home, you
Mm-hmm.
will by default then improve your relationships at work. Regardless of your life circumstances or what situation you are in, it is absolutely possible for you to become successful both personally and professionally. Okay?
Wow.
It doesn't matter where you were born, what conditions you were born into, what gender you are, what level of ability or disability you may be challenged with, the color of your skin, your height, your hair color, eye color. None of those circumstances can define your future success. If you're determined, you can make it happen.